Alright, I also noticed here that you're having trouble with the sum and difference of three univariate polynomials, so I am going to work through some of these. The problem is right here. I'm going to go ahead and rewrite it on my paper over here. And so in our first set of parentheses, we have 8x squared plus 9x plus 4. Then we have a plus sign, and in the next set of parentheses, negative 5x squared plus 5x minus 4. And then we have a minus sign, and we have 3x squared minus 4x plus 1. And I'm going to zoom out a little bit here so you can see all of that at one time. Alright, so the first thing you want to watch for is in between your parentheses. Is there a plus sign? If there's a plus sign, you're just going to leave it alone. Or is there a minus? If there's a minus in front of your parentheses, you're going to change it to adding the opposite of all of these. So instead of this minus, I'm going to make it a plus. And then what I'm basically doing is using my distributive property. A negative times a positive would make that a negative 3x squared. Negative times a negative makes that a positive 4x. Negative times a positive makes that a negative 1. You'll notice that was a positive 3x squared. Now it's a negative 3x squared. That was a negative 4x. Now it's a positive 4x. That was a positive 1. That is now a negative 1. So I have to change it to the opposite of all those values. Now I'm going to rewrite my problem, and I'm just going to line everything up all nice and neat. So I have my 8x squared plus 9x plus 4, which was my first polynomial. Then I have my negative 5x squared plus 5x minus 4, which was my next one. And then this one, I'm going to have the bottom one where I rewrote it as a negative 3x squared plus 4x minus 1. Now I'm just adding and subtracting my terms. So I'm going to take 8 minus 5 minus 3. If you do 8 minus 5 minus 3, that's going to cancel each other out. 8 minus 5 is 3, 3 minus 3 is 0, and since it's 0, it cancels out. Here I'm going to do 9 plus 5 plus 4. 9 plus 5 plus 4 is 18x. And then 4 minus 4 minus 1. 4 minus 4 is 0. 0 minus 1 is negative 1. So my answer here is just 18x minus 1. Looking at what you submitted for your answer, you missed something here on the first part because you did have the positive 18x and the minus 1, but you had a 6x squared. So in that case, it looks like what you might have done is not change this to a negative 3 and you used a positive 3. So watch when you switch those terms over here. It was a positive. I had to change it to a negative. Let me go ahead and find another one here. Alright, so the next one here that we have, you had 4u squared minus 7u plus 7 plus 4u squared plus 9u plus 6, and then you had minus negative 3u squared minus 4u plus 1. Again, I'm looking for the one that has the negative in front of the parentheses. That's the last one. I'm going to change it to adding, and then I'm going to have the opposite. Here I have a negative times a negative, so it's going to be a positive 3u squared. Negative times a negative, going to be a positive 4u. Negative times a positive, going to be a negative 1. So all of my signs are opposite in front of each of those terms in that last set of parentheses. So now go ahead and lining them up. I have a 4u squared minus a 7u plus 7. My middle one was a 4u squared plus 9u plus 6. My last one, I have a positive 3u squared, a positive 4u, and a negative 1. So now I'm just going to add and subtract my coefficients in front of my term. So I have a 4, a plus 4, and a plus 3. 8 plus 3 gives me 11u squared. Here I have a negative 7 plus a 9 plus a 4. Negative 7 plus 9 is 2. 2 plus 4 is 6. So I have a positive 6u. Then I have a 7 plus a 6 minus a 1. 7 plus 6 is 13. 13 minus 1 is a minus 12. So you had 11u squared plus 6u plus 14. So again, you missed this term here, that in changing it, you use positive 1 instead of making it a negative 1. So be really careful when you do that, that you change all of those signs. I'm going to pull up one more here. And so on this one, we have negative 5v squared minus 6v minus 8 minus 6v squared plus 8v minus 7 plus negative 5v squared minus 6v minus 1. So on this one, it's the middle one that has the negative in front of it. So I'm going to change the middle ones, and so I'm going to change it to adding, and I'm going to do the opposite. Notice that's a positive 6v squared in the parentheses. Negative times a positive is going to change that to negative 6v squared. Then we have a positive 8v, so we're going to change it to a negative 8v. We have a negative 7, we're going to change it to a positive 7. So covering right in front of the parentheses, it was a positive, I changed it to a negative. Positive, I changed it to a negative. Negative, I changed it to a positive. Now I'm going to line up my terms. So I have negative 5v squared minus 6v minus 8. The middle is now negative 6v squared minus 8v plus 7. And the last one, negative 5v squared minus 6v minus 1. And now I can go ahead and combine my like terms. So if I go ahead and do that, I have a negative 5 plus a negative 6 plus a negative 5. Add and keep my sign, I get negative 16v squared. I have a negative 6, a negative 8, and a negative 6. Again, I'm going to add and keep my sign. So I get negative 20v. And then here I have both adding and subtracting. Negative 8 plus 7 would be negative 1. A negative 1 plus another negative 1 is a negative 2. So I get negative 16v squared minus 20v minus 2. Peeking to see what you had there for an answer. Oh, that one doesn't show that you did answer that one. You must have skipped over the top of that one. But hopefully that helps you out while you're trying to work these out. Watch for the one with the negative in front, and then do the opposite of everything in that set of parentheses before you go ahead and line up your terms and do your adding and subtracting.